Daniel Harper, a retired federal prosecutor, thought he'd found paradise when he bought his dream home at 64, ready to savor quiet mornings with coffee and a garden of fresh herbs. But tranquility was the last thing awaiting him in the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, where HOA President Laura Bennett ruled like a dictator in designer sunglasses. Her reign of terror, fueled by absurd fines and relentless harassment, pushed Daniel to the edge. When he exposed her corruption, Laura's retaliation was catastrophic. She burned his house to the ground, believing she'd crushed him. But Daniel wasn't just any homeowner. He was a man who'd dismantled criminals for decades, and Laura had no idea the fire she'd ignited would consume her empire. Daniel had spent 35 years locking up the worst of the worst: corrupt executives, crooked politicians, and mob bosses who thought they were untouchable. All he wanted now was peace in his two-story colonial, where he could sip espresso on the porch and tend to his basil plants. But Laura Bennett, the HOA's iron-fisted queen, had other plans. She wasn't just the president, she was the HOA's heart and soul, wielding the rulebook like a scepter and her clipboard like a guillotine. To her, Willow Creek was her kingdom, and every resident was a subject to be controlled. Trouble started before Daniel could even hang his curtains. A letter slid into his mailbox, printed on pretentious letterhead: violation notice, unauthorized mailbox height. Fine, $200. Payment is due immediately. Daniel blinked. His mailbox was identical to every other one on the block. He dug into the HOA bylaws, nothing about mailbox height. So he ignored it. Big mistake. The fines escalated: $500 for unkempt shrubs. His lawn was pristine. $1,000 for visible garden tools, a rake left out for 10 minutes, and even $300 for excessive porch sitting. It wasn't about rules, it was a declaration of war. Laura thought she was invincible. For 12 years, she'd bullied homeowners into submission, skimming HOA fees into her accounts. Most paid up to avoid her wrath. But Daniel wasn't like most people. He'd faced down kingpins and won. So he fought back. He pored over HOA records, uncovering tens of thousands in missing funds, fake repairs, ghost contractors, a slush fund disguised as community improvements. At the next HOA meeting, he laid it bare. Laura's smug grin vanished as he presented evidence, her treasurer squirming, the room buzzing with whispers. She tried to shout him down, but Daniel's voice cut through like a blade. The fine stopped, but Laura wasn't done. She was plotting something far worse. 2 weeks later, Daniel's world went up in flames. He was in the grocery store, debating cereal brands, when his phone rang. His neighbor, Sarah, was hysterical. "Daniel, your house, it's on fire!" He dropped the box and ran. By the time he arrived, his home was an inferno, black smoke choking the sky, the stench of burning plastic and wood searing his lungs. Firefighters battled the blaze, but the roof had caved in, the windows shattered, the porch, where he'd dreamed of QA mornings in, was reduced to cinders. Worst of all, the box of his late wife's letters, her only remaining trace, was gone. His chest tightened, grief and rage colliding. Then he saw her. Laura Bennett, standing across the street, arms crossed, a faint smirk curling her lips. No shock, no sympathy, just triumph. "Maybe now you'll respect the rules," she said, her voice slicing through the sirens. Daniel's vision narrowed, his fists clenched, every nerve screaming for action. This wasn't just an HOA feud. This was arson. This was war. Laura thought she'd won, that Daniel would slink away like the others she'd broken. She didn't know who she was dealing with. The police arrived, asking routine questions: faulty wiring? Gas leak? Daniel barely listened, his eyes fixed on Laura's smug face. A young officer shrugged. "Fire department says it could be a gas line issue. These things happen." Daniel's jaw tightened. "A leak," he repeated, his tone ice cold. He knew better. Laura had a history. Daniel dug deeper, uncovering a chilling pattern: 3 other homeowners who defied her had lost their homes to accidental fires. No investigations, no arrests. Laura's connections ensured that. She thought she could bury Daniel in ashes too. She was wrong. Daniel didn't just get mad, he got surgical. He built a case brick by brick. He pulled 10 years of HOA financials, exposing Laura's embezzlement, $80,000 siphoned into non-existent projects. He tracked down former residents whose homes had burned after crossing her. Their stories were identical: fines, fights, fires. Then came the knockout, a neighbor who'd seen Laura near Daniel's house minutes before the blaze, holding a gas can. Daniel called in favors, old FBI contacts, detectives who owed him. Within days, he had a dossier that could bury Laura for life. Laura didn't see it coming. At the next HOA meeting, she taunted Daniel, her smirk dripping with confidence. She thought she'd crushed him. Then the feds stormed her doorstep, badges flashing, warrants in hand. Daniel watched from across the street as her face crumpled, that self-righteous sneer replaced by raw panic. The charges rang out: fraud, extortion, arson. She stammered, tried to charm her way out, but this wasn't her HOA's sandbox. The evidence was ironclad. As they cuffed her, her eyes met Daniel's. For the first time, she looked small. He just smiled. But Daniel wasn't done. Laura's power came from fear, so he made her fall public. He leaked the story: embezzlement, arson, a tyrant torching homes over petty fines. The media pounced. Headlines screamed, HOA president burns down homes in revenge. Laura's name became a punchline, her empire a cautionary tale. She was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison, her days of clipboards and control swapped for a jumpsuit and a cell. The HOA collapsed without her, its board fleeing, its funds exposed as a sham. Residents got their money back, potholes were filled, and a new HOA rose, one that served, not ruled. Daniel rebuilt his house, fireproof and defiant, with a neon orange fence that screamed rebellion. It wasn't just a fence, it was a monument to Laura's defeat. He never visited her in prison, but he hoped she lay awake, picturing that fence, knowing she'd lost everything to the man she underestimated. What do you think? Was Daniel's public takedown of Laura justice or vengeance? Should he have quietly rebuilt and moved on, or was exposing her the only way to stop her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're dying to hear your take on this fiery showdown. And while you're at it, share your views on power plays and relationships. When does pushing back cross the line? Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep the debate blazing.